Well, if you have ever been in a car accident, you know the last thing you're thinking about is what the repercussions are going to be 6 months or even 6 weeks out. But you can bet the insurance adjuster is. Richard Griffin of the Griffin Law Firm is here today to talk about the importance of a competent, experienced personal injury attorney. The bottom line here, the adjuster is not your friend.
That is absolutely true. And people sometimes are surprised by that. They'll say, I don't understand why they're picking my case apart. Why do they look at all the weaknesses? And they don't realize it's not personal. It is a numbers situation. Their job is to find the weaknesses, to try to pay as little as they can, to save that insurance company money. Unfortunately, it's going to be at the expense of the poor victim that got hurt in an accident.
Sure. I'm sure you do have an example where the adjuster wanted to give little, but you got a lot.
I do. It's one where this very nice lady was driving her car. She comes up to a four-way stop, and it's her turn. So she pulls forward, and another car pulls forward as well and collides with the side of her vehicle. It did some damage, and she was injured, but when the police got there, her focus was, I'm not at fault, this is what happened. The police got it correct and gave the ticket to the other driver. She didn't go to the ER, and later she went to her doctor, and her doctor sent her to a doctor to treat her for her neck, and she complained about her knee. Now, it turned out that she had a herniated disc in her neck that required injections, but the knee just kept bothering her. So they did an MRI about 5 weeks later from the accident, and they found a torn meniscus, and it required surgery. The medical expenses were $33,000. We send the demand, and the adjuster looks at it, and they're looking at all the problems. Their first offer is $3,500.
$3,500.
Yes.
Why did they only want to give her that much?
Well, and I've got a graphic I'd like to show.
Oh,
It
okay.
kind of explains it a little bit.
Okay.
My job is to always be the little guy there bringing the evidence to build that bridge to get that adjuster to step forward.
Mm-hmm.
And this is a situation where the adjuster says, well, look, at the police, when the police were there, they didn't say they needed to have an ambulance. They didn't complain of injury. So the police report said no complaint of injury. Property damage was $1,500. They said, well, look, if there's not property damage, how could she be hurt? And then the 5-week delay in the doctors getting to the knee, when they focused on the neck at first, they said, well, I don't think that knee's even involved. Now, we explained, and a lot of times we have to get the experts to help us, but we explained that at the scene, your adrenaline's flowing. A lot of times you don't feel that initial pain, but she went to the doctor later that same day, and that's why she was more focused on getting the right facts to the police. Low property damage, the doctors stepped in there and explained that we had serious injuries. We had a herniated disc, and we had a torn meniscus. These are objective injuries. There wasn't a past history of those. She has an accident and she has those injuries, so they provided a medical causation statement that allowed me to build that bridge to get that adjuster to say, okay, we are in some trouble. We're going to have to pay more money than $3,500. And then the last one is that the back hurt worse than the knee. So the focus at first was the injections on the herniation, but when that was more under control, then they did the treatment on the knee and found out the problem there.
All right, so let's just go over it again. They wanted to give her $3,500, and you got her...
We got her $100,000. So, and that is because
Wow.
she had very serious injuries. She had $33,000 in medical expenses. She had pain and suffering. Her life was turned upside down for a period of time where she had to have injections to get her neck where she could function, and where she had to have a surgery on her knee. You know, those are big things, and that is life-changing for her, at least during the point of the treatment, and a lot of times it's still, you may have a neck that continues to bother you or a knee that continues to bother you. So we took that case, we went ahead and filed because that adjuster wasn't going to come across that bridge. So we filed the lawsuit, and at mediation, we were able to convince the defense attorney that knew that that trial was going to go poorly for them. The adjuster was out of line. And that's one of the benefits of having a good attorney is we can file that lawsuit. If the adjuster's not going to come aboard and do the right thing, we can file a lawsuit, take it out of the hands of the adjuster, and then show the defense attorney why they need to talk to the insurance company.
Right, and put it in the hands of somebody who can make a decision, a mediator who can understand that. And I think your point about adrenaline is going, you're not thinking about 6 weeks or 6 months out, which is that's
right.
what you do.
And a lot of times it's not a situation where litigation is required. If we get involved early, a lot of times we can put those pieces of the puzzle together to make sure that it works out the right way, but we're there to litigate if needed.
And as always, call you immediately. Thank
Right.
you, Richard. That was good. Don't forget to get the help you need. Contact the Griffin Law Firm. Call 877-PAIN-LAW. You can also log on to 877painlaw.com.